About Bootstrap data science is that it's really easy to bring your own data. And in this video, I'm going to show you how to do that, and then we'll talk about some sources of common bugs. So let's get started. I'm here on the data science pathway on the Bootstrap website, and I'm looking at choosing my own data set. So that's exactly the lesson I'm going to explore. And I'm going to scroll down until I get to the list of all the data sets. Now, right above that list, there's a blank starter file. So that's what I'm going to click on to get us started. Meanwhile, here's the data set that I have. It's got a title, it's got a long descriptive name down here at the bottom sheet, and it's also got a README, right, which gives some information about the data set itself, specifically when it was updated, who to talk to if there's any issues with the data set, and in fact, there's a little more detail about the data set. And we recommend if you're bringing your own data, make sure you include a README file because it's just good practice in data science. Okay, so back to the data set. It's got a couple columns, looking good. Some of these are blank, and it's got a couple rows. So the very first thing that I want to do is make sure that there are no empty columns, right? I really don't need those, and I'm going to control click and delete, right? Second thing I want to do is click share. I want to make sure that anyone on the internet with a link can view, because I want Pyret to be able to view it. So once that's done, let's take a look at our starter file. It's got the usual list of libraries at the top. We're going to import the data science libraries, Google Drive, tables, image libraries. We never modify those. But now we've got this spreadsheet, and you'll notice there's a string in quotes, and it says the Google file ID of your spreadsheet. Well, I need to go get that file ID. So that's pretty easy to do. We can go back to the address of the spreadsheet, and you'll notice that between the very last forward slash and the second to last forward slash, there's this long gobbledygook of letters and numbers. That's the file ID. So I'm going to click copy. And I'm going to paste that in as my string. So this will load the spreadsheet. And I'm going to give it a better name. Instead of my sheet, I'll call it maybe laws sheet, since it's about marijuana laws. The next thing I need to define is my table. I'm going to rename that as well. It's always good practice to use good names. And it says here I have to list your columns with commas. So let's go grab those columns. We've got the state, all arrests, marijuana arrests, possession arrests. So I'm going to copy all of these. And these are all really long names. So I definitely want something shorter. So let's paste. So state, that's pretty short. And I'm going to make it lowercase. In general, all of our column names tend to be lowercase. There's nothing wrong with making them uppercase, but it's important to be consistent. If your students have an expectation that they're all caps, then make sure they're all caps. Let's see, all drug arrests. I'll shorten this to just drug arrests. Total marijuana arrests. I'll put total marijuana. Total possession arrests. So I'll say possession. Black marijuana possession. So I'll call this black possession. White possession. Then we've got our populations. Black population. White population. Total population. And then it says marijuana legalized. This is when the year when marijuana was legalized. So I'll say year legalized, year decriminalized, and then year medical. So those are my columns. And then if I keep reading, it says my sheet. Oh, wait a second. I changed that. I called it laws sheet. So I got to make sure that I change the name. And then it says sheet by name. And then another string. name of the tab on the bottom left. So I'll get rid of that, keeping my quotes. Let's grab that name. I can double click to select it. I'm going to copy and paste. Okay. Now, sometimes I can look ahead and I can say, wait a second, I can clearly see that this is calling it my table, but I changed the name. But even if I'm not that careful, Pyret is really good at finding bugs. So let's take a look, see if it finds the bug. Aha, my table is unbound. That's right, I called it laws table. There we go. No errors, that's pretty encouraging. Laws-table. Beautiful, we're in business. Okay, so let's review. I opened the blank starter file from the Choose Your Dataset lesson. So I went to the website. Then, here's my file. I went to the spreadsheet. I got rid of unnecessary columns. I copied all the column names. I copied the Google file ID that's between the last and second to last forward slashes. And I copied the name of the tab. 1, 2, 3. File ID, columns, name of the tab. And that's all. So feel free to hit pause and go try it yourself. But if you run into errors, where are some other places errors can crop up? Well, the first place is, what if you've got missing data, right? So for example, what if there's just a blank cell? That's going to cause all kinds of problems. So make sure that you look carefully if you have your own data to see if there's any blank cells, blank rows, stuff like that. Another problem, sometimes you'll get a column that's formatted incorrectly. Google Sheets does a really good job of guessing. So it knows that this is probably text, and it knows that this is probably numbers. But every once in a while, you'll get a situation where Google Sheets is confused, and you have to explicitly go to the Format menu and say, this is a number. Now, by default, it's set to automatic. Again, Google does a great job of this. But if you need to choose your own format, you use plain text. This is typically used for categorical data. And then for number, generally, I would use a number that makes sense. So you can format it this way with 2 decimal points. If it's a %, you can format it that way. In this situation, we're just looking at whole numbers, right? That's the format I want. So there we go. So I've selected the format. 99% of the time, you will never have to touch that. But just in case, as a possible source of errors, look for formats and look for blank cells and rows. Anyway, that's all. And of course, most importantly, if you have any questions, where do you go? You can always, at any time, go to discourse.bootstrapworld.org and feel free to post a question in our data science group.